everybody? Welcome back to the CrownHoops Podcast. We are on to episode number 43 now. It's been a while. Some things have changed. But as always, my name is JORDANDALY. I'm joined with Stacey Collier and Ben Okazawa. Say what's up, guys.
What's up, everybody?
Mike cannot be with us tonight. His Wi-Fi is not working. So he'll have to join us next time. But personal news, Stacey has moved out to LA. He's in the big city now. How you feeling? How you liking the new city?
Oh man, I love it. I love it. The weather is awesome. The only thing that sucks is, California is shut down. But other than that, it's been pretty good so far.
I'm jealous. Maybe I'll come visit you. I'll use that as an excuse to go to LA. All right, but we'll just get right into it. Obviously, the NBA started back up with the preseason games. The season is just a few days away now, for to actually count towards the records. So I kind of wanted to just go over some updates from the bubble with you guys, get your opinion on that. We'll just dive right in. To me, one of the most notable things, which it's kind of crazy that I'm saying this is even notable, coming out of the Denver Nuggets is Bol Bol. I don't know if you guys saw his highlights or watched the games for Denver. That guy was putting on a show. It made me question why he wasn't getting minutes before all of this, or if maybe he just worked really hard to improve his game. But he looked like a starter. He almost looked like he could have started a game. Stacey, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Bol Bol? Do you think he is, a potential asset for Denver, or do you think he's kind of just, how everyone else views him?
I mean, he was touted to be an asset all along. I mean, before he got hurt when he was with Oregon, he was touted to be like a top 5 pick. He was 7'2". He can dunk, obviously. He can shoot, take it from the ball outside in. He can do it all. The only problem was his frame, just like his father, Manute Bol. He's very thin, and that can lead to a lot of injuries. So as long as he stay healthy, I believe the sky's the limit for Bol Bol.
Okay. Ben, what about you? How you feeling about Bol Bol?
I agree completely with Stacey. I mean, the reason his draft stock fell too much was injury concerns. And I believe he was hurt for a good bit of this season, if I'm not mistaken. But seeing him get some minutes now, be productive, I mean, obviously his length and then versatility with his height is terrifying if he's able to stay healthy and kind of use that correctly. It's hard, though, I feel like, for really tall people in this league to prosper. Like, you see guys like Boban Marjanovic, who's like 7'3", 7'4", I believe. And he's not like one of the best players in the league, even though he is that big. And for a guy that big, he's got good size. He's not super thin, and we've seen him knock down a 3 or 2. So he can't, he's not. His game isn't obsolete, I would say, but he's still not able to be one of those top players in the league. So we'll see what happens with Bol Bol. He's definitely quicker on his feet than Marjanovic, but I don't know. I try not to take too much stock into these scrimmage games just because it's not that serious yet. It's a lot of a lot of bench players getting more minutes, stuff like that. So we'll see when it's the real thing how he can perform.
So what do you think his ceiling is?
I think his ceiling is. It's hard to say. I wouldn't really say there's anyone like him. Closest thing I would have to compare him to is Kristaps Porzingis. Someone, just a unicorn, someone who at like that 7'2", 7'3" height can shoot, can dribble, all that kind of stuff, is mobile. I don't think he'll ever be as good as Kristaps Porzingis, but he's been looking like a really interesting prospect. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he performs in the bubble.
Yeah, I like that comparison. It makes me think back to, my biggest critique with Bol Bol is, how skinny he is. He's like all bones. And I look back to, even Porzingis and guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, when they first came into the league, they had none of the muscle they do today. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Bol Bol can kind of adapt like that and kind of get that size that he's lacking. Stacey, I'll kind of bounce back to you. As I mentioned in previous podcasts, in my opinion, Denver is probably my sleeper team out of the West. Do you see Bol Bol's kind of emergence helping them push forward, or are you really not that high on Bol Bol just yet?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm not high on yet. I expect him to develop and keep on developing, but as for right now, to help the Denver Nuggets push out the West, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's too soon for him to have impactful minutes and impactful games right off the bat. So I think he's going to be like on a minutes restriction coming off the bench because they could still use him, but I don't see him having a high impact with the Nuggets because of how the things are set up. Like they got to push for it now. Like when the season starts, you can't mess up. You can't mess up too many times. So I think next year we'll see Bol Bol emerge a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, now is definitely not the time to experiment when they do have a chance to make a run. But if they can eventually find a way to get Jokic and Bol Bol on the floor at the same time, like they did in these scrimmages, yikes. Yeah, I think one of the first scrimmages they played, they literally ran like a giant lineup. I think it was like Jokic at the point. They had Bol Bol. It was ridiculous. They had all tall guys, and it was like the Rockets' kryptonite lineup. It was so funny. But moving on from that, another guy I wanted to bring up was J.R. Smith. We saw him get signed by the Lakers during the season being on hold. We saw him in the scrimmages. He was looking pretty good. It's like he never left the league at all. Stacey, we'll start with you again. What are your thoughts on J.R. and his contributions to the Lakers?
That's what I expected. This is what I expected JR to do. He's a shooter. He can make plays. He can be an exciting player. You know, we brought this up before when him getting signed. The question I had for him is, can he do it on a consistent basis? Can he shoot good on a consistent basis? Can he eliminate some of those wild plays that he's prone to? And he has done it so far. And like you brought up last time we talked, he's on a championship caliber team. This team, the Lakers, probably got the best odds to win the NBA Finals right now. And they don't have room. They don't have time for those wild plays. So this is what I expected out of J.R. Smith in a positive sense.
Yeah, and I think it's a good pairing, especially him with LeBron, because they have so much playoff experience together. Obviously, that was that one infamous moment. But other than that, I mean, they were obviously successful together. So, we'll see if they can get it done. But, Ben, what are your thoughts on J.R.?
J.R. is doing exactly how I expected him to do. I mean, he hasn't skipped a beat since coming back from the Cavs the last time he played. I was watching a bit of the Lakers-Wizards scrimmage a couple days ago. JR pulls up 2 deep contested threes in a row, closing out the second half. And then just like somewhere near in the last minute of the second half, he launches another deep contested three. This time he airballs it. So it's just JR being JR, man. He's a streaky guy, but he can be a real spark for that team and provide some good veteran presence, especially with Avery Bradley sitting out. So I think it'll be interesting to see how the Lakers do with him in that lineup. But I loved the signing. I had wanted them to sign JR instead of Dion Waiters before everything got shut down because of coronavirus. So for him to be there now, I think is a good look for the Lakers and for JR as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was the perfect signing. They're such a deep team, and to bring someone that, has experience with other players on that team, it's just you can't go wrong with that. So kudos to the Lakers. I hate saying it, but oh well. Moving on to the other LA team, we got Lou Will getting into some trouble. Couldn't contain himself. He wanted some chicken wings from a strip club. Ben, tell us about it. How are you feeling about this?
You know what? I didn't see the wings. You said they looked real good. So.
They did. I saw it on Twitter. They looked phenomenal.
I love wings, so I can't blame Lou Will too much. I don't know if I would crack in that situation either. He even said on Twitter or Instagram or something those are his favorite wings of all time. And it was really just Jack Harlow kind of snitched on him, got him exposed there. Jack Harlow is an American rapper. He put a picture of him and Lou Will on his Instagram story, and the NBA found out. But I mean, obviously he shouldn't be taking the bubble lightly like that. It's there for a reason, and things like this are what can potentially get the league shut down at some point. So I hope everyone takes the bubble seriously, keeps everyone safe inside the bubble and outside as well. But, I mean, apparently they did look like good wings, so I'm not going to bash them too much.
Let me ask you this, right? If you're Lou Will, after just Jack Harlow posted that on Instagram, are you ever talking to that guy again?
No, me and Jack Harlow aren't friends anymore.
Stacey, what are your opinion on the Wings Gate, whatever we want to call it now?
I hope Lou will learn his lesson. Never hang around with Jack Harlow ever again, especially if you want to be private. And for what it's worth, I've heard stories that Magic City food is like off the chain. Like I heard stories about that. So a lot of people on my timeline, they're like, you can't blame them. They good wings, but you know, in the sense of being responsible here, Lou Will, you got to be careful because, like Ben said, you and everybody else are in the bubble here, and you know this whole COVID thing, and you know anything can happen. So you got to be careful. You got to be more responsible. You got to think outside of yourself, and you probably got to wait another month or so for those wings. So you know, be careful, but at the same time, I understand from what I've heard about Magic City. I understand.
He got wings from a strip club, of all places.
Hey, strip clubs make good food. That's why I heard.
Stacey's like, I heard that from someone else, not a personal experience. Oh, man. No, but I don't know if you guys saw the picture. I know, Ben, you said you didn't. Stacey, I don't remember if you said you saw the picture of it.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, like the top of the box was really cool. It had all the names of, I think it was the police brutality victims, right?
I think so.
I don't think either of us saw the box.
Okay. I saw I was just staring at the food. I didn't see the top of the box.
Yeah, go back and check it out. I remember seeing Breonna Taylor's name, and I'm pretty sure I saw Ahmaud Arbery too. I'm pretty sure I had like a bunch of those names, which was really cool to see. Moving on from that though, another good thing out of the bubble, since they've been into the bubble, they've been there for a couple weeks now, 0 positive tests. And it's kind of crazy that we did have a few, I guess I'll call them leakages at the beginning, where people were kind of getting out of the bubble, people were coming into the bubble. And through all that, no one's tested positive, which is really, really phenomenal. I mean, we're seeing these other major sports leagues. We're seeing the MLB not doing something like the bubble, and the Miami Marlins, like I think it was like 14 of their players just tested positive. 17 now?
Yeah.
Insane. So, I mean, the NBA is doing it right. You know, Ben, I heard you saying that earlier. You're glad that the bubble's like keeping everyone safe and, you know, doing its job. At what point are you surprised that like other sports leagues kind of aren't following the NBA's footsteps on this one? Ben, we'll start with you.
I believe the NHL has a couple bubbles, one in Toronto, one in Edmonton, which is good. MLB, it's kind of tough to contain that many people just because there's so many people who are a part of an MLB, not even just like players on the team and coaches, but even just staff and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely hard to contain, but I think you kind of have to, because situations like this, like let's say even if there is a bubble, you know, Lou Will goes to get wings at Magic City, comes back within a week, half the bubble could be contaminated. You know what I mean?
True.
And then so in cases like this where you're not restricting that, you can have situations like you see with the Marlins, and then the Marlins, let's say, play the Angels or whatever, and then the Angels the next week play the Jays, and then whole league gets shut down, and people are at risk, which is the last thing anyone wants. So I think if you're gonna kind of have these non-essential things like sports in place, you got to find a way to do it safely. So I think it's definitely a good thing that the NBA is doing this, and I think the NBA is that kind of league that it's always more concerned about the players' safety and stuff like that, which we saw when Adam Silver was the first commissioner to shut a major sports league down in North America. So I think hopefully other leagues follow his lead, and I think they might be forced to at some point, if especially in the MLB, if things don't get under control.
Okay, and Stacey, obviously it's still early in the reboot. We haven't even gotten to the actual regular season games. But if it continues to be successful and, we still have coronavirus lingering, God forbid, next NBA season, do you see the NBA creating another bubble?
Yeah. I mean, if this thing still lingers and hopefully it doesn't, then of course they're gonna do the same thing. But going to MLB, this speaks volumes to how MLB is ran. It's not ran that well. It's not ran that well. There's a lot of dissemination between the commissioner and the owners and the players. First of all, it took them a long time just to agree to 60 games. It took them a long time for that. And I thought that they should have done the bubble MLB in the first place because they do spring training. They split them up between Florida and Arizona. So why not do the same thing there? I didn't get that, but hats off to the NBA, though. The NBA always been a player-first league. They always been miles ahead versus other major sports leagues. And not only MLB should follow suit, but our country leaders should be looking at basketball and see what they're doing. So how players are, COVID-free, and we're still struggling as a country here. So everybody should be looking at the NBA and follow suit.
Adam Silver for president.
Yeah.
No, but kind of continuing on with this theme, just watching the games, it's so strange. We were talking about this before we started recording. Other leagues have done like cardboard cutouts or stuffed animals in the crowd. The NBA has like these like weird virtual fans. So like people can like be on a Zoom call and then like their face will just like be in the stands. It was like really weird. But like my biggest thing, and I was talking with my friends about this the other day, is that like when it comes time for like the finals and like all those plays that like the crowd feeds into the hype and the players get hyped off of the crowd, like we're not gonna have any of that, and it's gonna feel so weird. Like I'm just not ready for that.
Hey, gotta do what we gotta do here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole new ballgame because there really is no. I mean, obviously they're trying to make a home court advantage, but there is no home court advantage. It's not a thing. But I'm still just glad they didn't add the 2K sounds. That would have been cheesy. But we'll move on from that. Ben sent us a graphic in the group chat. It says who wins in a best-of-7 series. It's basically like the Bulls' all-time franchise team with Derrick Rose, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Horace Grant. And then it's the Rockets with James Harden, Clyde Drexler, Tracy McGrady, Yao Ming, and Hakeem Olajuwon. So that started a debate. We'll start here before we go anywhere else. Out of that, who do you guys have winning in a best-of-7 series? How many games and why? Ben, since you brought this up, you got to get us going.
I think, at first glance, you're like, okay, it's the Bulls. You got MJ, you got Scottie, you got Dennis Rodman, you got Prime D Rose. And then you kind of think more about it, and you're like, well, Rodman's what, 6'9", Horace Grant's 6'10". Who's going to stop 7-footer Hakeem Olajuwon and 7'6" Yao Ming on the court? Plus, you got Tracy McGrady, and I would say Scottie is better than T-Mac, but prime T-Mac is one of the most elite scorers of all time. And when he was with the Rockets, that's when he scored, I think it was 13 points in 43 seconds against the Spurs.
Yeah.
And then you got, Clyde Drexler is an all-time great. James Harden is, I think as well, along with T-Mac, one of the most elite scorers of all time. So I have to take the Rockets mostly because I can't see anyone matching up with the size of Yao Ming and Hakeem. And especially with Hakeem's skill, he can space the floor a little bit better. So it won't be just two big men packing it in on the inside. And then you've got Drexler, T-Mac, James Harden. It's tough. It's tough not to go Bulls, but the Bulls can't match up at all with the size of the Rockets. So I got to go Rockets.
Okay. So I'm not going to say who I'm siding with. I'm just going to step in for Mike here. What would Mike say? I'm going to pull the whole who's stopping AD thing. Obviously, it's not AD, but who's stopping MJ?
You've got some defensive players there. Drexler matched up well with MJ during their playoff matchups and just general regular season matchups during their time. And then once MJ gets inside, I think it's going to be hard for him to score against Hakeem and Yao. I'm not saying anyone can ever stop MJ, but I think this team would do a good job of containing him.
Okay. Stacey, who do you have winning?
I'm going with the Rockets. Anybody's argument for the Bulls was like who would be stopping MJ. Come on, MJ got to deal with. First of all, he got to deal with Clyde Drexler. Then he has to guard James Harden because Derrick Rose is not going to do it. And then, like Ben said, once Jordan get past those people, how in the world are you going to score above not only Hakeem Olajuwon, but Yao Ming? How are you going to do that? And then when the Rockets on offense, all they got to do is they can just dump it down low to one of those two. Let them, Yao Ming, easy hook shot over Horace Grant. And then let's say Rodman covers Yao Ming. Oh, look what we have here. Hakeem Olajuwon. They just the matchup problems. And then Tracy McGrady, there might be a hot take here, but Tracy McGrady should have been over Scottie Pippen as far as like the greats at the small forward position. Scotty's well more accomplished, obviously, and Tracy McGrady, there was injuries, but Tracy should have jumped over Scotty, but he didn't though. Scotty is greater in comparison, but Tracy McGrady had that skill set. So I'm taking the Rockets in this, and I take them about. I think MJ can help them live to about 6 games, but after that, it's just gonna be overwhelming.
Yeah, I agree. I think six is a good spot to put it at. I never said that, but
yeah, I'm looking at these pictures, right? It's tough. I mean, I feel like Horace Grant is definitely the downfall of that Bulls team because they don't have like any height whatsoever, especially to go against Yao and Hakeem. But at the same time, I'm looking at the Rockets, right? There's a lot of scorers on that Rockets team, and I don't know how well they're going to play together, specifically with James Harden, because James Harden is a ball hog / stat patter. And I'm looking at
this. Passing in this situation. He ain't got no choice.
Is he though? He
got no choice. He can't be selfish.
I'll say nice. He's a confident guy here though. And then I'm looking at this Bulls roster, right? And 4 of them have already played together, and they were one of the best teams of all time. And you're adding an even better point guard. So I mean, I'm looking at it from all aspects here, but I want to play devil's advocate, but I can't. You guys both brought up the point, like Hakeem and Yao, like no one's getting through that. I mean, MJ can hit the mid-range all day long. I mean, and I'm looking at the versatility of this team. D Rose is a slasher, MJ is a slasher, and they're not going to be doing that against Yao and Hakeem. Maybe against one of them, but not against both. I just can't see it. I think Horace Grant is the biggest downfall of that team. If the Bulls had a taller guy, I would probably go Bulls. But yeah, I probably got to go Rockets. Yeah, I'm gonna say 6 games too. It's killing me. Because MJ is just so, like, a lot of people have MJ and LeBron close. I have MJ like way up. So like, just his competitiveness. Plus, I feel like James Harden would say something to piss off MJ, and we all saw The Last Dance. We all know how MJ reacts when he gets heated. So I mean,
and even if James Harden didn't say anything to MJ would just make up a story in his head to.
Yeah, exactly.
To make it personal. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben, you brought up a good point too of how well Clyde Drexler did defend MJ. We saw that in The Last Dance. So it's tough. I mean, I hate going against MJ, but I think I have to in this situation. It's tough. But after we talked about this in the group chat, we were saying, what are some other all-time franchise teams? And Stacey quickly responded. So Stacey, who is your all-time franchise team?
The Lakers. The Lakers, take the Lakers' greatest 5 players of all time. They running through everybody. I know we talked about the whole matchup nightmare with Yao and Hakeem, but on the Lakers team, you gonna have Shaq.
Shaq and Kareem, yeah.
Lakers, Shaq, and Kareem. Kobe, Magic Johnson. You put James Worthy in there. You could put LeBron in there if you want to, but for all time purposes, we gonna roll with James Worthy. There's nobody stopping it.
Ben, who's your all-time franchise?
Yeah, it's the Lakers, and it's not close at all. You got Magic at the point guard, best point guard of all time. You got Kobe at shooting guard, top 2 shooting guard of all time. You got James Worthy, or if you want, you can toss LeBron in. I mean, LeBron, by the end of his career, I think will have claimed that small forward position if he sticks around in Los Angeles. But for now, you can stick James Worthy there. James Worthy's an incredible all-time great, and I think he's honestly slept on just because of who he played with and the era that he played in. And then you got Shaq, and you got Kareem, and nobody's stopping Shaq, and nobody's stopping Kareem. Magic, easily one of the top 2, top 3 passers of all time. And then you got Kobe, one of the greatest scorers of all time, who already played with Shaq. I don't think it's close at all. Lakers.
Okay. So after we were talking about this, I brought it up to my dad, and I asked him what he thought. And there was some confusion about what I was talking about. I was wording it poorly, but eventually he came to the conclusion that it's the Celtics. And he went into a few reasons, but yeah, I gotta agree with you guys, and it literally kills me to admit it. But I mean, I don't even know if I can say it into words. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Let's just leave it at that. I definitely don't think it's the Celtics, though. I mean, there are a couple teams I'd take over them. I feel like obviously the Celtics have the most titles, but I don't know, and I hate saying this. I feel like all of the stars that the Celtics have never been clearly the best player during their time. Even Larry Bird, he was competing against Magic Johnson, I don't know. It kills me to say that, but yeah, I definitely got to go Lakers as well. But we'll move on from that. We have some NBA news regarding coaching. I'm going to let Stacey take this one.
All right. So one of our previous episodes, we were discussing the New York Knicks head coaching search. We brought up a couple names, Jason Kidd, Mike Brown. We even threw Mark Jackson in the mix. But the Knicks went into another direction. They hired none other than Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau used to be the coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Chicago Bulls. They signed him to a 5-year deal, and looks like the Knicks, they have their next head coach here. So let's go around the room. What do we think about this hire right here? Is it good? Is it bad? What's the outlook for the Knicks? Will Tom Thibodeau even stay those 5 years, the whole 5? Will he be able to do that? Let's start with Jordan. Jordan, what you think about this?
As long as the Knicks are owned by the Dolan family, he will not last that contract. I mean, it has nothing to do with him whatsoever. He could be a great coach, but as long as the Dolan family is in charge, no coach is going to stay there for 5 years. I mean, Thibodeau's a great coach. I mean, he does well with the players he has. Obviously, he has no accolades to show for it, but I mean, he was responsible for developing, young Karl Anthony Towns. We saw that. I just don't see him lasting that contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of tough to say, but Dolan aside, I think it can be a great hire for the Knicks. It can be, because Tom Thibodeau, he's known as to take teams into the playoffs. I mean, he's a defensive-minded coach. He's going to play the starters to the last minute, and it works. It might take a couple years, but I think the Knicks, if they fall in line with the development and with his system, I think they can reach the playoffs in a couple of years. They can get that 6 or 8 seed. I mean, they got a couple pieces on their team right now. They just need the proper coaching. Dolan aside, though. Dolan aside.
See, I don't know. I feel like they still don't have the pieces just yet. And when we were talking about this last time about who to hire, I think they should have gone for more of, how do I word this? A player coach in a way, someone that can recruit more talent onto that team, because that's really what they need. They need talent. And obviously we're saying Dolan aside for this scenario because no one's going to come as long as Dolan's there. But they need someone that's going to be able to recruit those top tier players to make the Knicks a great franchise again. So I don't know if Thibodeau is that guy, but he is a great coach. I will give him that.
Yeah, he's a good coach. I think he's that guy to push them a little bit more. Ben, what you think about Tom Thibodeau being the next head coach?
I think it's a good hiring. I mean, like you guys both said, Tom Thibodeau is a good coach. He's well liked by his players. He coached Prime D Rose. He coached up young Karl Anthony Towns, and I'm interested to see what he's going to do with a lot of these young guys on the Knicks. Because you got Mitchell Robinson, very talented young big man, a very physically gifted young big man. And then you got R.J. Barrett as well. You got other guys like that coming up on the Knicks. So, and we'll see who they draft this season as well. I mean, if they're able to get their hands on LaMelo Ball, or even like if they get that Israeli kid, Denny Avdia, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they can do with whatever raw talent they pick up. So I think it's a good signing. I mean, you got a coach who's well liked by his players, and can get the best out of them at times, as we've seen. So even though James Dolan is a terrible owner and most of the players in the league strongly dislike him, Tom Thibodeau is the best person for this job, and I truly believe that.
Yeah, I think he is too, but here's the thing that I was going to bring up, like the bad part about him. Like, he uses up his star players. He uses them up. A lot of people brought up concerns with R.J. Barrett when you think about, what happened to Derrick Rose, when you think about what happened to Jimmy Butler and how Jimmy Butler was, outspoken about the softness of Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. That could be a problem. So do you think Thibodeau's style, Jordan, we're going to start with you. Do you think his style could be a problem for a Knicks team here who's very, very, very young?
No, and I think that's exactly why. Because they are a young team, I think a lot of these guys want a chance to prove themselves, so I think it's kind of a fitting style. And like Ben was saying, I mean, if they can get a good draft pick, they'll have a solid core of young guys that I think would love a chance to get some minutes and go pound for pound on the court. So, yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem.
Ben?
No, I agree with Jordan. I don't expect that it would be a problem. I've never heard any accusations that whatever went down with Jimmy Butler and the young guys on Minnesota had anything to do with Tom Thibodeau's style of coaching, although he was the coach while it was happening. So it's not, I mean, impossible that he did have something to do with it, but never heard anything about that. So for now, I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and just assume that, he's going to be able to get the best out of these young guys, get them to play together well. And I don't think the Knicks are going to be good for a long time, but I still think he's the best man for the job.
Yeah, I think he is for now. I think that he can develop this young Knicks core, and hopefully they can get into the playoffs. Because what's the Eastern Conference playoffs without the New York Knicks? I mean, we gotta have the Knicks in there.
I was gonna say like the past 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta have the Knicks in there. Just have them in there. It brings more excitement of what the Knicks gonna do. So we'll see about that. So that was the end of that. Good luck to Tom Thibodeau. Pass it back to you, Jordan. What you got for us next?
All right. So next up, we are going to talk about, the start of the NBA season. The New Orleans Pelicans and the Utah Jazz have come together to plan protest, so to speak. It's going to be the first game of the restart, and both sides plan on kneeling for the national anthem. Adam Silver was asked about this. He said that he will allow players to kneel. They haven't said if there will be any repercussions for it, but knowing how, progressive Adam Silver has been throughout everything he's dealt with in his career as commissioner, I really don't think anything bad will come of it. I mean, obviously we have the players wearing, social change messages on the back of their jersey now, so I really don't think anything's going to happen negatively for the players. But Stacey, we'll start with you on this one. What is your thought on this plan for the protest, and do you think it'll spread across the league?
If the players want to protest the national anthem, I'm all for it. Like you just brought up, they're already spreading social change messages throughout the NBA, whether it's names on the jersey or what have you. And there's just another thing here, protesting the national anthem. Adam Silver, I'm glad that he's not going to do anything about it. Allow the players to express themselves, and the fact that players still have to do this and we still have to go through this is terrible. But for now, I'm glad that he's allowing them to explore different options of combating social injustice in this country.
Perfect. Ben, what about you? What are your thoughts on this planned protest?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, surprisingly, a few years ago when Colin Kaepernick's movement had been at its peak, I guess, because when you had guys like Kenny Stills, other Dolphins players, and then you had guys like I'm blanking on his name right now, but he plays for the Panthers right now. His safety for Eric Reed.
Yeah.
I think there was like 10 to 15 players around the NFL were kneeling. And then at times whole players were linking arms, owners as well. Adam Silver had said something, and this was surprising to me because he's such a progressive commissioner, easily the most progressive commissioner, I believe, of all the major sports leagues in North America. He had said something about how NBA players wouldn't be allowed to kneel during the anthem. And that had surprised me just because of I know his reputation. But so now that they're able to be doing this, and it's still, unfortunately, such a prevalent issue in North America and especially in the States, for players with such a huge platform to be making a statement like this and for it to go unpunished. Like, I think very clearly Cap was punished for kneeling. I think these players, especially if it's a consistent thing that they do and not just like a one-time thing and forget about it, if they're able to do this consistently and really spread that message, I think it's an incredible thing to do. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I hope, and I also think it's going to be much more widely accepted now than compared to when Kaepernick did it. He was the first to kind of do that, so I think everyone was just caught off guard when he did it. Whereas I think now, and just seeing what's been going on, I definitely think it'll be much more accepted. And I hope, if anyone has a problem with that, they're the problem. So we'll move on from that back to talking about coronavirus. Nuggets young star Michael Porter Jr. had some words to say on social media, saying that coronavirus is being used for population control. He basically went on a little bit of a rant. He was saying that he's not calling coronavirus fake, but he was just saying that it's all part of like a greater plan. And he was sounding a lot like Kyrie, not gonna lie. No. Ben, what are your thoughts on Michael Porter Jr.'s little rant?
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of Kyrie, Flat Earth, all that kind of stuff. Start our own league, all that kind of stuff. So we will see what comes of this. It was definitely a dumb thing to say. For someone who has such a huge young audience, and for someone who people actually take stock in what he says, to be saying things that could honestly get people killed, at least put people at risk, is, I think, immature. It's a bad thing to do with your platform. We just talked about all the positive things that the NBA players are able to do with their platform. This is a very negative thing that he's doing with his platform. So yeah, definitely a little bit reminiscent of Kyrie, who, by the way, I just want to shout out quickly because he's been doing great things lately.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out Kyrie.
Yeah, shout out to Kyrie.
Yeah, and just on that, we had to cut it out because we're going long on time. But basically, Kyrie pledged, I think it was $1.5 million to WNBA players that were going to choose to sit out over the coronavirus concerns. So shout out to him for that. That's an awesome move. And just watching the games, the scrimmages that we've seen so far, I've noticed a lot of players, if they're not going to play, they're wearing like the orange WNBA sweatshirts, which I think is just really cool to see like the league support each other.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I got to give me one of those. I got to.
They're nice. They're nice.
Yeah, they are.
But Stacey,
and I love the ladies. I support the ladies.
I appreciate it. What are your thoughts on Michael Porter Jr.'s rant?
he shouldn't have said it just because of where he is and who he is. But just talking to people, I've heard a lot of people say this just because of how like everything stacks up, like the coronavirus, how it mostly affects, my people, the black community, how it mostly affects the Latino community, the poor community, and those the people that's dying from this whole thing, and the way that politicians have weaponized coronavirus in a way, it kind of gets in your head like what's really going on out there. So like I don't want to completely dismiss it. It is a crazy conspiracy, and I do think coronavirus is real. I think it's very real. Matter of fact, someone that I know closely contracted the COVID-19. So like I know that it's real, but it's not too far-fetched of a thought just because of the way like this country is and how it's like it's for the rich, it's capitalist, capitalism over everything and all that stuff. So like but him saying it, I don't know that he should have said it, especially when he said something crazy before about the Black Lives Matter movement. So like nobody shouldn't take heed to what he says at all. But it is kind of a thought in people's minds though, so I don't want to completely dismiss it.
So I must have missed it. What did you say about the Black Lives Matter movement?
I can't put it into quotes. He basically said like the whole all lives matter smokescreen type thing. So
I remember almost exactly what he said. He said something like, "Don't hate Breonna Taylor's killers, pray for them."
Oh yeah.
It was taken a little bit out of context because he said, "Pray for them to take the hate out of their hearts" or something like that. But it was definitely a dumb thing to say, and he should be instead of saying something positive about them, regardless of whether it's like pray for them to take the hate out of their hearts or something like that. He should just be condemning what they did and trying to get them at least locked up rather than telling people to pray for them. So
that was the wrong thing to say.
100%.
Especially at the time. Sometimes you got to read a room and kind of question what you're going to say before you say it. So hopefully he can learn. If not, Nuggets need to get him like a PR guy and just like, okay, can I tweet this? I just got to ask him that every time. We'll move on from that, though. We'll go on to our hot takes segment. I'm going to pass it off to Ben.
All right. So I very easily could have made this a Kendrick Perkins segment of today's show. He's been talking out of his butt a little bit this past month or so. However, I only have one Kendrick Perkins hot take just to keep a variety in the episode. So he said on Twitter that Jamal Crawford is the best sixth man of all time over guys like Manu Ginobili, Lou Williams. Stacey, do you agree with Kendrick Perkins here, or do you have someone else as best sixth man of all time?
Kendrick, I need you to listen closely. The greatest sixth man of all time is not Jamal. I respect Jamal Crawford. Mm-hmm. Love watching him, but he's not the greatest sixth man of all time. The greatest sixth man of all time is Manu Ginobili. It's Manu Ginobili. Even though with Lou Williams. Now I know Lou Williams probably is the better scorer, but who's more accomplished here? Manu Ginobili. He got rings, but what, like 4 rings, 5 rings? I'm not sure if he's there for the first ring. Yeah, he got 4 rings. When I used to watch him in his heyday with the Spurs, I was like, why this man's not starting? Look, he is scoring near 20 points per game. That's how good he was, and just highlights, sneaky score, sneaky athleticism too as well. Yeah. And he has rings in his argument versus Jamal Crawford. I don't see a ring. Lou Will. Do Louisville have a ring? I don't think so either. I'm sorry. So I'm just gonna and then the thing, Killer, he said this on the man's birthday. On his birthday. This is Manu Ginobili's birthday, and he just no disrespect, but come on, Kendrick. No.
Yeah,
I'm going with Manu here.
Yeah. He's like, happy birthday, butt.
Yeah, it's like
come on, man. Yeah, that's cold. But no, I mean I agree with you 100%. Like Manu's got the rings, and then aside from points, he's better in every stat category. Like especially field goal percentage, 3-point percentage are a good deal higher than Jamal Crawford's. And he's got a bit of an edge in rebounding and assists too. So, and he's only down by like a point in their all-time stats. So I think you got to go Manu here over Crawford. But Jordan, I'll ask you this now: do you have Manu over Jamal Crawford, or do you?
Yeah, Manu is definitely the greatest six man of all time. I mean, you put him on like any other team but the Spurs at that time, he probably would have been a starter for most franchises. The dude could ball, and he also caught a bat in the middle of that game, which was really cool.
A couple times, I think.
It was a couple times, yeah, but that was legendary. Manu is just outstanding player. Like you guys said, Crawford's obviously a little bit better of a scorer, but Manu was much more well-rounded compared to Crawford. And Crawford's a great player, don't get me wrong, much respect to him, but I think Manu obviously he had the rings, he had the accolades. I think he just had a little bit better of a career too, as well as longevity. I feel like Crawford's kind of hit a dip off, whereas Manu stayed pretty consistent. Obviously, there was a little bit of a decline towards the end, but he played it all out.
Yeah, no, I agree with both you guys. But so I'll move on to the next one. Colin Cowherd. I mean, I'll tell you what he said in a second, but we've had this discussion a couple times before on this podcast. I know both you guys feel pretty strongly about it. It's the Rookie of the Year conversation, especially Jordan. I've seen you go on some Twitter rants about it, and you've ranted on here about it. So Colin Cowherd thinks that Zion is the Rookie of the Year over Ja Morant. I didn't listen long enough to hear his reasoning behind it. I honestly couldn't be bothered because whatever he says is going to be wrong.
Yeah.
But Jordan, who do you have as your Rookie of the Year, Zion or Ja?
It's Ja Morant, hands down. Like, there's no debate there. Like, what? I kind of want to go and listen to, like, what this man was going to say to try to, like, hear him defend this. Like, this man played 19 games. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
No, it's hands down Ja Morant.
I agree 100%. It's if Joel Embiid didn't win Rookie of the Year over Malcolm Brogdon in, I think it was 2016. And he played even like 35 games. His stats were undeniably better, but he played 35 games, so they couldn't give him Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to have Zion, who played even less, like almost less than half the amount of games that Embiid played in that season, Rookie of the Year? It shouldn't even be possible. But even that it is, I mean, you can't discredit the incredible rookie season that Ja Morant had, especially leading his team to the playoffs and being the real leader on that team as a rookie is incredibly impressive. But Stacey, I'll ask you the same question: Is Colin Cowherd talking out of his butt here, or do you think Zion has a chance?
Colin Cowherd always talking out of his ass. He always doing it. I can't. Colin Cowherd. It's clearly Ja Morant. It's clearly Ja Morant. I heard part of it. He said one of the reasons why Ja Morant hadn't scored 30 points in the game yet. So what? He played most of the season. Although Zion had a incredible 19 games. He really did. He really did. It's just 19 games versus Ja Morant here, who's, I don't even recall him missing a game. I don't. He might have, but I don't recall it. So, and look what he doing now in the warm-up games, in the scrimmage games. Unbelievable highlights.
Yeah.
The Memphis Grizzlies might go to the playoffs over the New Orleans Pelicans. So, I picked Ja Morant from the beginning. I picked him after the draft. I picked him before the season, during the mid-season. I'm still sticking with him, and he's going to win it. Ja Morant.
All right. No, I agree as well. We've all been on the same page. It's clown. He was a clown. But we've all kind of been on the same page for the first two. This one I feel like we might actually disagree on a little bit. Stacey, I'll ask you since you're the one who brought it up originally. Magic Johnson did his awards for the year, and he has Taylor Jenkins, the Memphis Grizzlies head coach, as his coach of the year. And it's a really interesting hot take. So I want to hear what you think about it. Does Taylor Jenkins have a chance to win Coach of the Year in your opinion?
I think he does, especially if the Memphis Grizzlies make it into the playoffs. I originally picked your boy Nick Nurse to be the Coach of the Year, but after seeing Magic Johnson pick Taylor Jenkins, I did not think about Taylor Jenkins. I did not think about him. Well, first of all, let's go back here. Think about the Memphis Grizzlies. We didn't expect much out of them this season. We were like, okay, they got a good young core. Let's see what they do a couple years down the line. But this season, they pushing for the playoffs, and he coached up the unanimous, or should be unanimous, Rookie of the Year in Ja Morant. And Ja Morant is Magic Johnson's choice for Rookie of the Year. So especially if the Memphis Grizzlies make it into the playoffs, I'll roll with Taylor Jenkins. I don't think that's a bad take at all.
No, I honestly agree with you. I was like, Nick Nurse, undeniable what he did with the Raptors this year. Shouldn't even be a question. I mean, obviously there's guys like Billy Donovan. I don't think Frank Vogel should be in the conversation, but he is. But then I saw Taylor Jenkins, and I remember all of the things I've heard about. He runs such unique practices. He had them playing kickball in practice for an entire 3 hours or something one day. And just the kind of the unique things that he does in practice that a lot of people wouldn't expect to work. And then you see the Grizzlies kind of without any expectations behind their season this year make it to the 8th seed ahead of teams like Portland and the kind of young star-studded Pelicans. So it's, I think, a really good hot take from Magic Johnson. I think it is hot, but I don't think it's unbelievably, this is never going to happen. I think it's honestly, Taylor Jenkins deserves some votes for Coach of the Year. But Jordan, I'll ask you the same question. Could Taylor Jenkins win Coach of the Year?
I mean, it's definitely a possibility, and I agree with Stacey. He was nowhere on my radar at first. But I mean, it makes sense. You rewind 2-3 years ago, Memphis was on no one's radar, and obviously now they're, borderline a playoff team. They have a chance to get into the playoffs in the Western Conference, which is an extremely tough thing to do right now. So you definitely have to give him credit. But the two coaches I have over him right now are Nick Nurse and Eric Spoelstra. Nick Nurse, obviously, I completely discredited your Toronto Raptors, Ben, once Kawhi left. Obviously, yeah, they are the former champions, but what he's been able to do with this team. Obviously, Siakam stepped up, Van Vliet stepped up. So I think Nick Nurse has done, a hell of a job keeping that team at that level of competition without, obviously, their best guy in Kawhi. And then Eric Spoelstra, I also had Miami nowhere on my radar this year, and they've really impressed me, and I think Jimmy Butler had a big part to do with that. But yeah, Taylor Jenkins definitely deserves a nod. Do I think he'll win? No, I think he needs a couple more years under his belt with that Memphis team. And if he can get, a 3 seed, maybe 3 seed or higher, to see a coach get an 8 seed and win Coach of the Year, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but it's definitely not a hot take to say he has a chance.
I mean, do we expect the Memphis Grizzlies to get the top 3 seed in any moment, at any time soon? I mean, that's a tall task right there. It's
a possibility. I mean, you look at some of the guys that are running the league right now, and a lot of those guys are, up there in age. I mean, I think we're going to have the Lakers for a while. I think Clippers for maybe a year or two more. Denver's got a while. And then after that, Memphis has a shot to be up there right along with New Orleans. They're kind of the younger teams, in my opinion. So
got a good young core. Exciting to watch for sure. But yeah, no, I would agree more so with you, Jordan, that I think Taylor Jenkins deserves a lot of consideration and definitely deserves votes for this award. But I think Nick Nurse kind of has an undeniable case, especially with all the injuries and losing Kawhi and been missing Gasol for like half the season. Siakam's missed games, Lowry's missed games, Van Vliet's missed games. So I think it should be Nick Nurse, but I think Taylor Jenkins and, like you said, Eric Spoelstra both deserve consideration. But anyway, I'll let you take it over with the mystery player debate here.
All right, let's end it as we always do. You know how it is. We got a player A, a player B. Player A, shooting guard, averaging 28.8 minutes a game. He's scoring 15.8 points, 3.1 rebounds, 2 assists, and 0.6 steal. He's shooting the ball 43.7% from the field and 40.7% from deep. Player B, we got a shooting guard / small forward. I want to clarify, this season he played as a shooting guard, but in past seasons he did play as a small forward. He's averaging 28.5 minutes a game. He's shooting 15.7 points, 3.3 rebounds, 2 assists, 0.9 steals. He's shooting the ball 40.2% from the field and 36.9% from deep. Who do you guys prefer? Do you have any questions about these players? And who do you think they are?
Wow, these stats are so similar.
Yeah.
Like, similar, but I'm going to take player A just because he shoots better overall. 43.7% overall, 40 from deep. I'll take that over player B.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Stacey. I have to take player A because all of these stats are, within 0.3 marks of each other. So player A plays 0.3 more minutes per game, averages 0.1 more points, 0.2 less rebounds, same assists, 0.3 less steals. But the most glaring differences here, and they're still not that significant, are in the shooting percentages. Shooting nearly 41% from three is incredible. I don't know what the volume of that is, but him being a shooting guard, I'd have to assume that he's taking a decent amount of threes. So for him to be shooting 41% is pretty impressive, and that's the most kind of glaring difference, I would say. The biggest thing that sets him apart from player B. So I got to take player
A. Just to answer your question real quick, player A is shooting 9 threes a game.
Okay, yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, so you both said player A. There are a couple things I want to add now. Player A is 28, whereas player B is 24. Does that change anything for either of you?
I kind of expected them to be on the young side, under 30. Player A sound like a Eastern Conference player, is it?
Player A is an Eastern Conference player.
Ooh.
Okay.
Are both these guys in the bubble?
Yes, 100%.
So they got a chance for the playoffs. Is player B in the East too?
Player B is in the West.
Player B is in the West. Is player A in the top 8 seeds?
I believe so. Let me double check that for you. Yes, player A is within the top 8 seeds.
So that takes out the Wizards. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Player A is a Western Conference team. Just kidding.
Oh my
God. It is again.
Oh man.
Is that top 8 in the West?
Yes, top 8 in the West.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a hint. I was thinking of him on his former team.
Okay.
That's why I did that.
All right.
In his former team.
These are their career stats or this season stats?
This is this season stats.
Is one of these guys JJ Redick?
No. That's a good guess though, with that high 3-point percentage. Yes, so player A, I'm just going to confirm, is within the top 8 seeds in the West. So they're both Western Conference.
One of the top 8 seeds. That's not the Blazers. Sharp shooter, shooting guard, 28 years old, 16 points. I don't know. I might have to.
What's their former team in the East?
Ooh.
The Knicks. This is for player A.
The Knicks. Oh, I just had his name. I forgot his name. I just literally just had his. Oh man.
He also played for Atlanta for 2 seasons, but he played for the Knicks before that and after that.
Played for Atlanta. Had 2 stints with the Knicks.
Yeah, so he was drafted by New York, played in New York for 2 years, then played for Atlanta for 2 years, then went back to the Knicks for 2 years, and then he's been on his current team for this year and the season before.
So he's playing 2 years everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. What about player B?
Player B is on the younger side. I will say this. This may sway you, Ben. He's Canadian.
Okay. And he's in the bubble in the West?
He is in the bubble in the West.
It's not. No, I was going to say, no, it's not Jamal Murray, though. He's Canadian.
Not Jamal Murray, no.
No.
This is his
Jamal
third
Murray
year in the league.
Score more.
Third year in the league. He's been on the same team since he was drafted. His first 2 seasons, he played small forward. This year, he played shooting guard.
Okay. All right. Well, I know my Canadian players. That's for sure. There's not that many of them. There's not that many
Putting
of them.
it to a test now.
And
he is starting. He's started every game this season.
He's been with his current team the whole time?
Yeah, for the past 3 years.
And that team's in playoff positioning?
They're in the bubble, so yeah. They're not, like... That's a hint. They're not within the
player
top
B
8
on
right now.
Player B on the Memphis Grizzlies?
Yes. Player B is in the Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh, is it Dylan Brooks?
It's Dylan Brooks. Player B is Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, player B is Dylan Brooks. All right.
Yeah, he's had a good couple of seasons, actually. I'm surprised.
And he didn't really play last year. I think he only played in like 18 games last year.
Yeah, he tore his groin or something like that.
Yeah, so
the injury was
like
ridiculous.
Pretty impressive.
Someone was throwing a bounce pass, and he came down on the ball. One of his feet came down on the ball, and the foot that he stepped on the ball with, slid out, tore his groin, something like that.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
So, such a freak injury.
Yeah, that's not comfortable.
Because what are the chances that someone's throwing a bounce pass and you just happen to step on the ball mid-pass?
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Ridiculous.
Any guesses for player A?
Player A. Is player A on the Mavericks?
Player A is on the Mavericks.
Oh.
Is it Seth Curry?
No.
Oh, is it?
I see those gears turning.
No. I was gonna say Courtney Lee. It's not Courtney Lee.
No.
Get out of here.
If it was Courtney Lee, I'll be mad. So he is on the Mavericks, and he's 28.
on the Mavericks. He's 28 years old.
I don't know their roster for real.
Yeah, I don't really know their roster that well either.
Let's ask Seth.
He started in 50 games out of the 63 this year.
So you said he played for Knicks, Atlanta, Knicks again?
Yeah.
And he's on
I
the
don't
Mavs
remember him playing for Atlanta, to be honest, but.
And he's on the Mavs right now?
Yeah, he was on the Mavs this year and last year.
Is it Tim Hardaway?
It is Tim Hardaway. Ben
I was getting. I knew player A. I was thinking.
Stacey, I thought you were gonna get it like 4 minutes
I thought
ago.
I was gonna get it too.
I thought you were there, and then you didn't say it.
I knew because when you said the Knicks player A, I knew he used to be on the Knicks, but I couldn't get his name.
Yeah.
Good job, Ben.
How's it going? Ben goes 2 for 2. Do you guys stand by your answers picking Tim Hardaway over Dylan Brooks?
No.
Yes.
Ben changed. Is it because he's from Canada?
Honestly, I didn't know Tim Hardaway Jr. was shooting 41% from 3. That's actually, wow. I don't know. The only thing that really sways me here is that Dylan Brooks. It's a little bit of hometown bias.
Yeah.
He grew up literally like 20 minutes from where I live right now.
But I think Tim Hardaway is the more proven scorer between the two. Tim Hardaway's only problem is he cannot be like the number one or probably like the number two option on the team. He got to be like third at best.
And good thing he is that.
So, I think Dylan Brooks also. I guess the age as well kind of swayed me a little bit, but
that's why I said that earlier. Yeah, I wanted to make sure you guys knew that player B was younger.
Yeah, it's very
3-point percentage though.
See, now I got a little upset again because I had the teams right, but I did not get the players.
That's why I thought you were gonna get it. You're like, oh, he's in the Mavericks.
I don't understand it.
It's okay. Man. I said Courtney Lee. I'm a little bit embarrassed about that right now.
Is he even in the league anymore?
I don't know. I think he is on the Mavericks, but
yeah, I think he is.
I had no idea. Okay. We'll call it at that though. Thank you guys for listening, watching, however you're doing this podcast. I don't know. This is episode 43 of the Crown Hoops Podcast. My name is Jordan Daly. With me this week we had Stacey Collier and Ben Okazawa, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.